Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to IronSquid here on Wednesday, and what a set of matches we have got for you today. My name is Total Biscuit.
Hello, and I'm D Apollo. How is everybody? And everyone's like, yes, I'm good in chat, but you can't really reply properly. So
No.
I just give it worst awkward intro ever.
It's always good, man. We like the awkward intros. I've got to say, when it comes to StarCraft 2, we nail awkward intros down like a boss. We are so good as a media form and as an esport with awkward intros, awkward outros, awkward interviews, and awkward winning ceremonies. We've got it all.
Yep, DreamHack Winter 101. Awkward.
Hey, I was the one who had to save that. Don't get me started on awkward. Good lord. Yeah, a guy in a freaking top hat with worn-down shoes has to save it. That's esports in a nutshell for you right there. Oh, but I tell you what, good StarCraft 2 in a nutshell. This tournament, and more importantly, this group. We had the dullest moment of the group in the first show, because it was a ZvZ followed by a TVT. And now, everything's awesome.
Yeah, it's just been getting better and better now. We've hit the halfway line, coming down into the second half where games are so important. It comes down to the very wire, and it has to be. We saw how close Group A was because of this, where we saw Puma, Ret, and Boxer tie up in actual results, but then it came down to a single map. So when people are going into the second half, you actually have to be like, if I drop a map, that actually could be me being Slayer's Boxer, being out just because of one map.
Yeah, it can. And it's funny that we should mention that, considering we've got the standings up right here, and we're just going to have a quick rundown, and we're going to do just a little bit of theory graph, not too much. It's the halfway point. I don't think we want to bury you guys in numbers just yet. No doubt the live report thread is doing this as we speak, but it's the lineup right now. So standings are currently, MVP is 2-0 in his group, but he's dropped a map. So he's 4 maps won, 1 map lost. Symbol's 2-1. He is 5 maps won and 2 maps lost. MC's only played 1 game so far, so he is 1-0 with a swift 2-0 victory against EGIdrA. And then we've got both of the foreigners who will play against each other today. They are both 0-2, and they have not picked up a single map this tournament. So their map score is currently 0 win and 4 loss.
Yeah, I mean, the foreigners going up against each other today. One of them will be leaving the tournament. Which one, we'll find out in Game 1, but whoever does win, they actually, because of the way that the map scores work, they can't afford to drop a game, no doubt. So even if, let's say, EGIdrA or ThorZaIN was to win, they can't win 2-1, otherwise it gets way too complicated and they just can't go through. So somebody has to clean sweep. Looking at the maps, I mean, not the regular maps, but the games we're doing today, ThorZaIN has to go up against EGIdrA in EGIdRA's probably best matchup, and then against MC, and we know how good MC is against Terran recently. He's unbelievably good.
Yeah, and even then, even if one of them clean sweeps one way or the other, we may see ThorZaIN clean sweep today, we may see EGIdrA pick up a 2-0 victory and then go on to the final show of Group B, and also then pick up a 2-0 victory against MVP, as unlikely as that sounds. It still depends on the rest of the group, and this is where things start to get really complicated, because of course, if you have the same results in terms of Series 1 and lost, then it comes down to map score.
Yeah, it does. So every single game matters today. So it looks like the foreigners do have a chance, but that chance is so incredibly slim. They have to 2-0 sweep the rest of the second half of their group and then still have to rely on other results down to the very map score. So really, really is looking slim for those guys.
Yeah, I would say a slight edge in favor of ThorZaIN, and the only reason I say that is because he's pretty much been beaten up to this point anyway. He got, in my opinion, his 2 hardest opponents. We know that TVP is a matchup he likes quite a lot. He got MVP and he got Symbol. That's a raw deal, one way or the other. He's got those out of the way now. He got crushed. He can rally from this position. EGIdrA, on the other hand, as we mentioned when he lost this series, that ZvZ was his chance to get a start in the group, and it really was going to be his only chance, because nothing else was going to go his way. It was going to be an uphill battle from there, and he lost it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, that Zerg mirror against Symbol had to be a must-win from EGIdrA. And if it wasn't, which it wasn't, things are so difficult for the American here, and he may well go out, once again, and that would not go down on well within his record. Everybody knows he just has not been performing well.
No.
Not just in 2012, but even before that too, in 2011. So he needs to pick up these wins to start to climb back. Otherwise, he'll just fall way too far down, where the pressure is unbelievable down in the pits of hell.
Yes, it is, unfortunately. And aside from that brief spark in November, he's been having some real problems lately, and that's unfortunate. He spent a lot of time in the Slayer's house, but I don't know if it's benefited him or not. It certainly doesn't seem to have benefited his attitude, which is perhaps his greatest weakness at the moment. We shall see how he does against the foreigner ThorZaIN. That may be an opportunity for him to get things back on track. He's perhaps feeling less under pressure against a player like ThorZaIN, but ThorZaIN is still fantastically good. It's just compared to the rest of this group, which is absurd in terms of its skill level, he might be just a slightly bit weaker.
Absolutely. And then ThorZaIN has to go up against MC today.
Oh my.
The boss toss. This is going to be a very difficult match for ThorZaIN. I feel MC is just on form once again, who actually had his own slump and went through it
That he did.
for quite a while. But he is now back winning, of course, Home Story Cup and then the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship, and is looking on fire once again.
Yeah, as part of SK as well, I might point out. And there was a lot of doomsaying surrounding his move to SK, that, he's joining what is effectively a foreigner team, even though SK doesn't actually have any other players aside from him at the moment. Bear in mind, SK was the team that had Mad Frog back in the day. Wow, that is going back quite a while. And they then had, of course, that partnership with OGS. But, yeah, he is looking so good right now.
Yeah, he really is. And the way he's playing recently, I would not be surprised if he even clean sweep the whole group, including his game on Sunday versus MVP. But it's still all to play for the Koreans, though. Even though it's looking very slim for EGIdrA and ThorZaIN, the Koreans still have it all to play for. Anybody can go through as first place, and then, of course, survive second as well. But it's going to be tough. That final Sunday next week, where it all comes down to see who is first and second, it's going to be a crazy Sunday. But first of all, we've got to find out if foreigners will be able to advance or not.
Indeed. But before we do that, if you unfortunately missed the events of the previous show last Sunday, you are one, a fool, but two, you should be rather glad, because we're able to provide you with a recap. So here we go, folks. Previously on IronSquid. Alright, that is what you missed. Shame upon thee if you did, but we've got yet more fantastic action coming up, and it's foreigner versus foreigner coming up right after this. It's EGIdrA versus ThorZaIN. Ooh, this is going to be a hot matchup one way or the other.
Yeah, must win for both of these guys. And, you know, they've actually have met a couple of times before. EGIdrA is behind, weirdly enough. ThorZaIN has a quite strong record against EGIdrA, having beat him in MLG and, of course, most recently the NASTL. If I got that right, I think I did. NASTL, yes.
Yes, yeah, more acronyms, more skill. It's as simple as that.
Dude, there's so many, including maps too. It's incredible. But then we did see EGIdrA pick up the win in IPL 3. So 2-1 to ThorZaIN. But the thing is with ThorZaIN's play is that he allows EGIdrA to play EGIdRA's game. You know, that's one thing through ThorZaIN being the Spoon Terran, is he'll sit back and EGIdrA can get into rhythm. So that's actually the dangerous thing here for ThorZaIN. But ThorZaIN's record against Zerg recently has been crazy, man. He's picked up wins against Stefano. He's picked up wins against Sheth. He took a map away from Lenok. This guy is so good. It actually used to be his worst matchup.
Yeah, it did.
But he really has changed things around.
Yeah, he's becoming a really strong all-rounder. He is dropping games, and I think every time we see a powerful performance from a foreigner, I think there's maybe a little bit too much hyper momentum actually gets behind him there. Because, let's be honest, the foreigners want someone to cheer for, and right now, at the moment, they've got Stefano, and to a lesser extent, I would say Huck. And who else have they got, really, that can actually compete on the top level? And ThorZaIN got a lot of momentum behind him with TSL3, but he also got a lot of momentum behind him in the DreamHack Valencia Invitational, whereby he was only a map away from beating the future GSL champion.
Yeah, that was an incredibly close series, but that was actually the point where ThorZaIN was struggling against Zerg, and Don Regu, you know, one of the best in the world as Zerg, so we'll have to see how he does go through this now ever so important game against EGIdrA, who probably best matchup now is against Terran. So both these guys playing their favorite matchups, you could say, because ThorZaIN has adapted to the metagame amazingly, and will definitely be playing a very solid macro focus style with that early through command center, no doubt. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, and EGIdrA, on the other hand, will most likely also play a macro focus style, or will attempt to, of course, go down his usual Mutalisk route. We'll see. He does have a little bit of flexibility. He's a highly mechanical player, and if he's allowed to get his economy going, he's very, very difficult to stop. And that must be in the mind of ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN is known as the Spoon Terran, but I think that it's misleading when you think about his playstyle, because that's not all he does. He does rush. He does sometimes cheese. He mixes things up all the time, which makes him very dangerous.
Yeah, very unpredictable, keeps his opponents honest as well, so nobody could take advantage, which is one of the things we saw players start to do to Cass in the Intellistory Masters a couple of weeks back, where people were just exploiting his play, clear and simple. They knew exactly what he was going to do down to the very unit, and ThorZaIN will throw in a twist there, so that isn't possible. But like you said, macro player versus macro player here today. We could be in for a long series, but remember, nobody can really win 2-1 here. Somebody has to win 2-0. So it's only got a certain amount of time in that long series.
Exactly. What ends up happening if they lose, well, indeed, if they win 2-1, is that the chances of them going through are astronomically small. Pretty sure that's almost impossible, in fact. So they've got a clean sweep, and if they don't, well, I have to wonder what is going to end up happening in the final map when they realize, you know what, we've just both screwed each other over.
Yeah, that's funny, actually. That'd be a weird scenario.
It would. It really, really would. Let's see if that scenario actually occurs, or whether we will see a 2-0 sweep for either of our foreigner hopes in Group B. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's kick it off with EGIdrA versus ThorZaIN. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tal'Darim Altar, and what a fantastic place to start this series, which quite frankly should be very macro-orientated. I would be very surprised if it was not, because in the green trunks we have, from Team mousesports and the country of Sweden, spawning in the northeast, it is mousesports ThorZaIN, versus his opponents. Hailing from America, in the red trunks, playing Zerg to the northwest, it is Evil Genius's EGIdrA.
I do like the position spawn here for EGIdrA, just because he can expand away.
Yes.
ThorZaIN here can take the third base, and not the one with the rocks, but the one more south, and not be in danger of anything here. Yeah. So I do like this from EGIdrA, but at the same time, the Zelnoga Tower for EGIdrA is a must-keep, the one in between the two bases here, as if ThorZaIN has control of this, of course, that unlocks the natural where tanks can siege up there, and also EGIdrA would be a lot more in the dark and would be susceptible to drops from ThorZaIN. So it is a good map for both sides, really, but it really does depend on who grabs the opportunities.
That is true, and ThorZaIN has been known to throw spanners in the works and twists in his build more so than EGIdrA lately, which is why I'm just a little bit worried for EGIdrA.
Yeah, I mean, EGIdrA has to be so careful, but if ThorZaIN just plays straight up and grabs, you know, gasless style of expansion, which he has been doing recently, it could go quite well for EGIdrA. But I wonder if ThorZaIN recently has actually been showing everybody that he's been playing mech in this matchup, so I'm wondering if he'll try it this time around. He does grab a later gas here, not super late, but a later one, so he will be focused more on his money. But if he plays mech, I think it'd actually be very good in these positions.
Yeah, mech's a hot topic, really, in this matchup right now, isn't it? Because a lot of people are saying that, hey, you know, it's the answer to the woes of the Terran, but unfortunately, it also seems to have a number of holes that can be easily exploited, and we have actually seen that in this very tournament as well.
Yeah, when we saw Symbol rip through ThorZaIN when he tried to play mech. So we'll see. I mean, EGIdrA has always been a little bit weaker against mech, so it might be something that ThorZaIN wants to do. He's actually picking up the barracks here and sending it to the front. I'm always interested why he throws it next to the gas. I think it's just because he wants to grab it as soon as possible and maybe threatened of any 6-pull or something like that. But you know, it's not too big a detail.
No, I guess not. It means that the second Marine, if it does indeed come out, which, funny enough, ThorZaIN actually really has been skipping that second Marine almost all the time. He just tends to get that single Marine, and then he doesn't reinforce for quite some time, because he wants this command center down as early as he can get it.
Yeah, and he may actually be grabbing a third one here too,
possibly.
Like a double command center, especially if he's not building a Marine. He may skip the factory timing as well and just go straight for it, which is a little bit weird, which actually plays to the fact that why would you skip, well, I mean, why would you take the gas, and there's the factory actually, so maybe not grabbing it that early on, but EGIdrA, so far, so standard, completely normal, you know, 100 gas, grab speed, then leaves one in there ticking away, and we'll be happily droning away from here.
Yep, a couple of coins coming up, and this is now the opportunity where EGIdrA can start to take control of these Xel'Naga towers and get himself a good amount of warning. Now, we've got a reactor coming down from ThorZaIN, so he may just play straight up reactor Hellion to back this up, with the CC actually coming up before the Hellions come out, but that will at least allow him to clean out this area and once again just take that map control back from EGIdrA.
Yeah, the only weakness with ThorZaIN's play here, grabbing an early third, is that sometimes he is open to aggression early on. But EGIdRA's not a player that would ever do that. He's building a spine crawler, you know, he never exploits greediness, which is probably the biggest thing in the world, the biggest weakness of EGIdRA's playstyle. But ThorZaIN, you know, is very happy in the position he'll be. He's going to have a fantastic economy, because he's going to have full saturation across two bases so incredibly fast, which will allow him to grab double engineering bay, you know, earlier factories, like double factory that is. So this is really a good position and start here for ThorZaIN.
Yep. Third queen on the way up for EGIdRA. Definitely like this decision. He needs to start getting that creep spread pretty quickly. Also starting to create a partial wall off against Hellions. Never, of course, a full one, but opening potential opportunities to catch his opponent unawares. We've got a couple of Hellions here who are now within, of course, full range of EGIdRA. Tried to deny some creep spread. No creep spread is forthcoming as of yet from EGIdRA. He could do it, though. He could start to spread within range of this here, but he can also spread from the top of the cliff as well.
Yeah, he could, and we'll see where he does do that, but he does have a few Lings coming out now, so that can help push away any aggressive Hellions here as well. But we don't see mech coming from ThorZaIN actually here, and he's actually putting a factory and has a second gas, so putting a factory on the tech lab really early here, so he's actually going for tank production incredibly early, so it looks like he'll be gearing up for like a 4 or 5 tank push or something, otherwise there's no need to get them that early, which is actually pretty good against EGIdRA style rushing up for layer tech.
Yeah, seems to do the job. ThorZaIN continuing just to try and prevent as much creep spread as possible, but he couldn't stop this spread down the bottom, which opens up a number of interesting opportunities. EGIdRA's also going to spread from this direction and is spreading that creep tumor there. It's in range of ThorZaIN, but he hasn't actually reacted. There we go, he's actually spotted it right now, so he should be able to prevent that creep and does so effectively.
IGIdra's gone for double evolution chain, which is a little bit uncharacteristic. Also throws down the layer, but he may not actually be going Mutilus at all here. Could very well go straight to Infestors. But yeah, I really do like, as you point out, ThorZaIN's denial of the creep. Just keeping IGIdra locked down on 2 bases as he's building up this really big push. He does have the double engineering bay coming down as well because of that early SCV production. And excuse me, I wonder if ThorZaIN's going to be looking for that early Zenlogger tower and that push underneath the natural of IGIdra, but he has to have something to spot. So I don't know how that's going to work. He may not try that.
Well, nice surround right there by IGIdra. He kills 3 Red Flame Hellions, and looks like the reinforcements will come to stop the last 2 from going down. But what that does allow for is creep spread, and the creep tumors are now going down as quickly as possible. ThorZaIN can maybe deny this one. Actually, no, it's up now, so he's not going to be able to pick that one up at all. The scan goes down to start clearing up, and that single tank comes in. There's the attempted surround here by IGIdra. Not really enough links to completely crush the force. Never mind, there is actually. And the tank is destroyed quite nicely. IGIdra gets a good crushing blow, and he's got no problems now looking to take a third.
Yeah, and he had that +1 carapace that kicked in, which really made a difference, but that was really sloppy there from ThorZaIN. I have no idea what he was trying to do. Whether he was like, alright, well, maybe I can do a bit of damage. Oh, I've overcommitted, I have to siege up. And then lost everything. So that was actually really bad for ThorZaIN, and nullifies a bit of the advantage that he's got through this early third command center. But things are still going okay for him. He's thrown down the extra production now and will lift up to take that third base. IGIdra, on the other hand, there's the Infestation Pit coming down, an early Borrow here, as well as the Overlord Speed. So really interested to see what is going to develop here from IGIdra, who's not really playing towards his traditional Spire play.
That's good. It really is. I think ThorZaIN is far too practiced against that kind of thing, and I do want to see something a little bit different coming out here from IGIdra. It may give him what he needs to go through. ThorZaIN is, at the moment, pretty much unassailable. IGIdra slightly supply blocked, but he'll be able to clean that up without too much of a problem. Also has full map control right now. The Hellion count is 1. It doesn't matter. And ThorZaIN playing, of course, very defensively as a result. This third command center, now having saturated the mineral lines, is going to go down here. And this is the opportunity where IGIdra can start to really readily deny that. He already has double +1 links, which is going to clean up these Marines quite nicely. Unless, of course, they run into tank fire, which they do. And quite a few Marines also blown up in the tank salvos here as well, and IGIdra's going to want to try and prevent this base from being taken for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing, and he did a good job of it, actually, slowing ThorZaIN down, and he also grabbed the 4th base really early here, knowing that his opponent was playing greedily in terms of that 3rd early command center. And IGIdra, IGIdra, 20 drones in production, or 15 now, really ramping that up. And also we do have, double factories coming down here for ThorZaIN, so he's going to be at 3. He's going incredibly tank heavy here, and he has no idea about what IGIdra's playing here, so a little bit risky here from ThorZaIN.
Yeah, it is rather. The drop is on its way out. This will get spotted pretty much immediately, so we'll see if there's any kind of interception coming in that direction. There are Infestors out on the field. They are a little bit too far away from that drop location to really contribute, so ThorZaIN's going to go in. The Lings are already on their way back, and a couple of Infested Terrans coming down to scare that off. Fungal Growth grabs it as well, and nicely picked up there by IGIdra.
Yeah, IGIdra's doing really well in this game, aside from the annoyance of the lack of creep spread between natural and third. But aside from that, he's doing absolutely fantastic, denying a lot here, grabbing a very early hive, actually, before he even saturates the 4th base. So things looking really good here for EGIdrA.
Yeah, and we've got a very passive style from ThorZaIN, which shouldn't really surprise anybody, honestly. And nice bit of scouting here from IGIdra as well, using the Overlord speed and sacking Overlords just to get a good idea of what his opponent's got. And at this stage, the sacking Overlords just isn't a big deal. He can pull that off no problem at all. The upgrades are looking good for both sides, really. We've got +2/+2 coming in for ThorZaIN. +2 is already complete on both sides, melee and carapace, for IGIdra's Lings here. So, Ling Infestor style, nothing really wrong with that. He hasn't done too much with the Infestors as of yet. The count isn't really high enough to go for any kind of all-out attack, though.
Yeah, it's really not, but it looks like ThorZaIN may be pushing out here with the conjunction of 2/2 finishing and +1 vehicle weapons. It is a little bit risky, but he has walled in his 3rd base just in case of a counterattack, so he is feeling safe to do so. IGIdra is in a little bit of an awkward position here. There's actually a lot of units, and he really doesn't, as you said, have enough to do anything to push this back.
No, he doesn't. He needs a lot more units very, very rapidly. He's going Great Aspire, which is to be expected, especially with the melee upgrades. It transitions nicely into Broodlords, giving those Broodlings plenty of extra damage. But ThorZaIN's going to start pushing right now, and it's going to take him a while, because he's got a lot of creep that he needs to clean up, which means that this push has started less than halfway across the map. So it's going to take forever for ThorZaIN to safely creep across the map with this. This may give EGIdrA enough time. He's looking to try and do a little bit of a run by here to surround some reinforcements, and he successfully picks that up without too much of a problem. ThorZaIN also not employing any kind of drop harassment, just going for this really slow tank creep.
Yeah, this is actually really bad from ThorZaIN because he has no idea what EGIdrA has. He actually runs into a big fungal there, but
huge.
As I said, he doesn't know about the hive. He doesn't know about the Broodlords incoming.
Yeah, and EGIdrA kind of running into a bit of tank fight here, but it doesn't really matter all that much. He's done a lot of damage. The infantry units are just gone, and now Lings can swarm in around the side and completely wipe this out. Does he have enough units for it? Well, he's blunted the attack. I mean, the attack's just got to end now, and whoa. I mean, EGIdrA is completely outplaying ThorZaIN at this stage. Yeah,
and even if ThorZaIN continues to attack here, he's going to run into reinforcement Lings. If he tries to go back, he's going to get surrounded by Lings. So ThorZaIN's actually in a horrible trouble. And in ThorZaIN's vision, he has no idea. He still hasn't scouted anything all game long. I know now that he's probably predicting that Broodlords will be on the way shortly, but they're already out. They're already, they're about to finish.
Yeah.
So this is really, really bad here for ThorZaIN, playing so blindly, and EGIdrA taking full control of this game.
Look at the difference in resources lost. My, ThorZaIN is bleeding hard, and the economy of EGIdrA is ridiculous. He's got 90 drones on 2 bases, 25 lava saved up to pump out as many units as he can, and banking about 1,000 minerals, 500 gas. What is ThorZaIN doing? No, he now knows about the Broodlords, certainly, and is going to end up losing a tank as a result of it. And ThorZaIN just got to go back to base here, and now this is just EGIdRA's game to win. He's got all sorts of opportunities.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough here for ThorZaIN, but he did manage to secure this 4th base as he killed the Overlord and then planted this down, so that's actually fine. What I'd love to see from EGIdRA was just all those Lings in the center be morphed to Banelings on the side and just going in there and nuking that planetary fortress would be an excellent move, but he's not planning on doing that. He has 3-3 about to finish. He has Corruptors, Infested Broodlords, and this is going to be very, very difficult here for ThorZaIN to engage. He has just 2 Vikings, building 4 at a time, but he's gone for double Ghost Academy, and this, by the way, guys, is post-patch.
Yes,
so this is still going to be very awkward.
Yeah, this replay is fresh off the presses. I believe we only just got it today, so this is as current as it gets. Those ghosts are just going to be absolutely useless against Broodlords. They will be used, of course, for nuking, potentially, but also for taking out the Infestors. But at this stage, there's not a huge number of Infestors on the field. There's still only 6. Also, new Parasite coming up for EGIdRA, which is a curious choice.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's just going to grab tanks in the fight, maybe?
Maybe.
The Ghost Academy, though, it's really, really interesting to see this. He won't be going for snipes. He's definitely going to try and cloak and EMP all the Infestors.
Yep.
Because without the Infestors, without the... Oh, hold that thought. There is a drop at the south side here by ThorZaIN and gets picked up by these Infestors. EGIdRA just all over the place in this game.
Yeah, there it is, and down it goes. No problem. EGIdRA has everything covered here. He's got plenty of information. He's even using these Overlords just to spread creep and deny potential expansion points and just give him a little bit of warning. Vikings are now out to start clearing that map control up in the air. So that's handy there for ThorZaIN. ThorZaIN also has a much smaller army than EGIdRA. EGIdRA's maxed out at this stage, so he'll be looking to do some damage here. Now, the question is, where does he attack? The Broodlords can easily lay siege to the 3rd. All of those Lings look like they really want to cuddle from this Infestor here.
Wow. That's a lot of Infestors, man. It's a lot of Infestors, but there's about to be a lot of Ghosts, too, and, well... Ghostbusters pretty good against EMPing these Infestors, so he has to be so careful.
I mean, the Infestor count is only at 6, which means to me that he could easily split these up. The Broodlords are the real brunt of this. He's also got... He actually doesn't have air superiority. He's only got 12 Corruptors versus 16 Vikings. But he's even just going to go for a straight attack on the natural here, which, of course, could lose him a hell of a lot. But the Vikings, not as spread out as they could be, they get fungled as well. There goes the EMP. The Infestor's now pretty much out of the fight here. Will there be enough Corruptors to take this down? There's still 11 Vikings up in the air, so I'm not entirely convinced by this. Broodlord's taking a lot of fire, but there are simply too many Broodlords for the Vikings to bring down quickly enough, and the push continues. The Infestors continuing to recharge energy, the Thors clean up what's on the ground there, and now the Broodlords are left naked against Vikings, and, well, they're all going to die here, so ThorZaIN holds quite nicely.
Yeah, he does hold, and that was really beautiful play there by ThorZaIN holding that position. A little bit sloppy for EGIdrA to fight up ground, but at the same time, he can't just leave ThorZaIN alone and let him just max up and bank money, so he has to trade somehow, and that was a nice trade to take. ThorZaIN did land a crucial EMP, which nullified the infestors throughout the entire of the fight, therefore Vikings are naturally more stronger. But EGIdrA, playing very smartly, is now researching the chitinous plating for the Ultralisks, and he will be making the switch shortly, and ThorZaIN has no preparation for this. No longer can you rely on those ghost snipes.
Ultralisks? EGIdrA is building Ultralisks. Well, did the Mayans have anything to say about that, I have to wonder. Baneling Nest coming up as well, and EGIdrA just continuing to roll over this. I mean, it makes sense, certainly, the transition, but EGIdrA himself has said that Ultralisks are awful, so I don't know. The transition should work fine, though, just discounting all of those things that he said in the past. He's got 3-3, and those Ultralisks are going to be 5-3. I've got to be honest, I don't even know how to pronounce that upgrade. I think it's actually chitinous plating, but I couldn't be certain one way or the other.
I have no idea.
It's +2 armor for Ultras. Nobody cares. This is not a English class. What it is EGIdrA maxing his army out again. ThorZaIN's also managed to do just that, though. He is on 4 bases. He is trying to expand. He's been actively denied everywhere EGIdrA possibly can there by these overlords. EGIdRA's broodlord count is only at 4. Only 2 Ultras in the mix, though.
Yeah, I mean, look at EGIdRA's money, though. He's maxed out, he has so much money, so he's going to take another fight here easily, and then he's just going to remax out with Ultras, I feel, and this is going to be a brilliant move here by EGIdRA.
Yeah, I just wonder how you can stop Ultralisks without Marauders, and really there isn't a big answer to that, and Thors will certainly do damage, but that is a massive fungal, and here comes the Ling Assault. Ultras trying to get into the fight one way or the other, they are simply too fat, but finally they get into contact, slicing their way through as many units as possible, but they're getting even gunned down by landed Vikings here, and down go the Ultras, a single Thor is taken out. ThorZaIN did take a lot of damage in that fight, and EGIdRA's building 12 Ultralisks.
Yeah, he's going to crush through everything ThorZaIN has very shortly here. He is also denying the expansion in the south side here with just Lings alone, and this is really slowing ThorZaIN down, and 13 Ultralisks about to pop shortly. The Marauder count currently at 4. Yeah, and actually in that fight, I heard a lot of snipes. And I saw 0 effect on EGIdRA's army.
It doesn't matter. Snipe is rubbish now. It isn't going to do anything against Ultras. Ultras have too much HP for it to matter, and EGIdRA's now got free reign to play however the hell he wants, and how he wants seems to be very effective right now. With that many Ultras streaming across the map, there are still 6 Infestors on the field to actually support this, and plenty of Lings coming in. Do you think those Ultras really care about those couple of Marauders? Absolutely not.
No, and EGIdRA has more money to build even more. He has a great economy supporting this Ultralist push, and EGIdRA going for the close. Remember, guys, if ThorZaIN drops this game, which he looks like he's about to, he cannot advance through this group. No way can he.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure there's no way to do it, because even if it came down to head-to-head, he would still end up losing there. And snipes go off, it actually does kill something there, but these Ultralisks are incredibly hard to stop. The Thors are going to be what tries to do it, but they have no armor upgrades, and these Ultras just tear them to pieces. A quick lift up on that one. The Vikings are now down on the ground. What do landed Vikings do to Ultras with 5 armor? Absolutely nothing. And EGIdRA continues to scythe his way through. He's on 200 supply again. 4 more Ultralisks coming in. ThorZaIN with some excellent Thor micro here to try and stop this from happening, but these Ultralisks are unstoppable.
Yeah, there's no way he can stop that. Even though ThorZaIN does have a mining base in the south now, EGIdRA's just streaming Lings and Ultras in, and ThorZaIN supply 100, 200 for EGIdRA, and it looks like EGIdRA is going to pick up the first win here, and what a really impressive win here by EGIdRA, and I do like it considering he is 0-2 in the group, 0-4 in maps, and he does play and still have a lot of awesome games left in his tournament.
He does. This was a really great game from EGIdRA. I really wanted to see something like this from him, and we've seen his macro style in action, we've seen harassment, we've seen all-out attacks, we've seen great transitions here, we've also seen ThorZaIN playing unbelievably passive and making some big mistakes at the start of the game, which were firmly exploited by EGIdRA.
Yeah, EGIdRA just played almost flawless game, to be honest. He did play really well, and there's the GG.
Well played there by EGIdrA, incredibly well played, taking the first map here from ThorZaIN with a fantastic strategy. He was all over the map. His macro was astonishingly good. He had all sorts of tech at his disposal. His transition was great. He did huge amounts of damage in that trade before that you mentioned then. Yeah, it's like, hey, he lost a bunch of Broodlords, that's bad, right? Well, no, it's not. If he wanted to go for the transition, ThorZaIN massively overproduces Vikings and gets completely caught out by the Ultralisk transition. And ThorZaIN's biggest weakness this entire game, completely blind. This is the vision at 28 minutes in. That is really bad.
Yeah, he doesn't see past the front line and never did. A little bit unfortunate there by ThorZaIN. I mean, I did say flawless game by EGIdrA, but there's no such thing as a flawless game in StarCraft 2, so still a good game by EGIdrA.
Really good game.
But ThorZaIN definitely needs to turn it up, and that's what I said before this series even got underway, is that ThorZaIN is such a passive by nature player that really does play into the hands of EGIdrA,
oh, it does.
Who is also, you know, that macro player and wants to get into the rhythm, and as we're shown here, once EGIdrA is in that rhythm, he's pretty damn good.
He is. He really, really is. I actually really like watching him play when he sticks a game out, and he did a great job here. ThorZaIN, as you said, did play into his hands, which makes me think, ThorZaIN being very, very adaptable, and he is certainly not averse to cheese, I have to wonder if we see more aggression coming right out the gate here from ThorZaIN, rather than this double expand build that EGIdrA is just treating as a wrapped gift left on his doorstep at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the next map, which we'll have to find out very shortly, and ThorZaIN may have to do something, otherwise he will fall down to EGIdRA's 2-0 sweep. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, and if EGIdrA gets 2-0 here, he does have a shot at getting through. It's not a very big one, but he does have a shot of continuing in this tournament. So, let's find out. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, Game 2 of EGIdrA versus ThorZaIN. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this fantastic series between two amazing players. I bring you mouzThorZaIN. He is in the green trunks, and he is playing Terran to the south of the Antigua shipyard, versus his opponent, Evil Genius EGIdrA. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Zerg to the north, having now finally got himself on the board with a map victory.
Yeah, it's very important for EGIdrA, especially if he wants to try to advance through, even though it's very difficult depending on others' results as well. He has to win 2-0 and then 2-0 versus MVP, which of course will be an incredibly tough game for EGIdrA also. But this time around, ThorZaIN may opt to play similar again. The map does play out a little bit similar in terms of he can grab an early third base. It is more defensive, and the only difference on this map, it is harder for EGIdrA to expand compared to the last map, is he did have ease of access down that left-hand side, and if ThorZaIN wants, he can really put the pressure on as soon as he takes that center of the map. So we'll see how both players want to play it out. You know, like you said, ThorZaIN does have that opportunity to hit some cheese, to hit some aggressive play here if he wants to take out EGIdrA first.
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to do that. He goes for the supply depot right next to the command center. Not really interested in walling off just yet, but, I mean, and against EGIdrA, why would you? Why would you even bother with the wall off that early on? You know EGIdra's not going to attack you, so that's not really a factor.
Yeah, and we do have an 11 barracks down here by ThorZaIN, and a second 11 barracks, so he's gone for double 11 barracks, incredibly early here. One is slightly to the left there, but EGIdrA is sending out a drone scout here. So he's going to be able to read into this very well and easily prepare for this. So I'm not too sure how this is going to go down for ThorZaIN.
Yeah, I'm glad that EGIdrA is doing that, because it also shows that he knows his opponent and isn't just... He's playing the opponent as well as the game. There are too many people that just play the game and don't take their opponent into consideration. And it's described as metagaming by some people, but at the end of the day, ThorZaIN in this position is not averse to cheese. And EGIdrA has been in a house full of Terrans that will do exactly this. He hasn't seen that second racks down as of yet, though. And in fact, he's actually going to leave the base, which means that... Well, what do you think he actually picked up from that? What information did he really get?
He thinks that ThorZaIN's just playing for a 1 barracks expansion here, but is this drone? Oh, he's checking. That's so smart of EGIdrA. Look at that. He picks up the second barracks.
Very nice. Very nice. Oh, you can tell that his training in the Korean house is paying off, because how many times was this have happened to him on ladder?
Yeah, probably quite a few times, but, you know, that's really good from EGIdrA there, thinking, alright, it could be 1 barracks command center, but I might as well just check down there as well on my way home, and Lucky picked up that, and he did have a spawning pool, sorry, at 16 supply. It could have been earlier at 15, but 16 is still manageable here, considering he's saving lava. So he's going to be able to build 6 slings, double queens immediately, and also pulling, well, a lot of drones down, so he should be fine.
Yeah, he should be, taking a little bit of damage here on that spine crawler. It's on its way up. Looking for a surround and an engagement here from EGIdrA. There's 2 Marines there as well, so economic damage could be done here, but nicely buffering the damage on those SCVs in front of the Marines and taking some damage on the drone line. The spine crawler is only halfway up. More Lings now coming out to engage. The SCVs taking the majority of the damage here. There are now 4 Marines on the field, so this is a good push here by ThorZaIN, also fixing up the SCVs as well, but he does have a spine crawler to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, EGIdrA got out-microed a little bit there, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because he has what's necessary to push this back with the spine crawler here, so EGIdRA's actually pulling his drones back. That's a little bit non-needed. I don't think he should have done that, as he's losing a lot of mining time, and this push is pushed back now, so a little bit over safe there, EGIdrA.
Bit overly cautious, but yeah, you're right. ThorZaIN is pushed back, and as a result, EGIdRA's now got an opportunity to continue to push out the drones, but he did make a lot of Lings. He's got 16 Lings now and no speed. So what does he really intend to do with that? He is now moving across the map. He could go for an attack, but I don't think he'd get all that far with it.
Yeah, look at this. As soon as the Marines are microed well, he's going to have enough here. Actually, with the reinforcements at the back, potentially, but the Marines still, look at that, does have enough there. But I think it still would have been close if EGIdrA continued with that. I guess that he was just scared about the reinforcements that ThorZaIN added into that. But watching EGIdrA, it's like I'm seeing 2 different guys. One old player a year ago that used to be cutting corners so much that he'd lose to cheese and lose to the follow-up cheese, but this game he's actually overreacted, where he didn't get the second queen until incredibly late, built so many drones, built so many Lings, sorry, and moved the drones back. He's just overly safe here on out, and that's actually, hurt him a lot more than people are looking at right now, because if you look at the drone count to SCV, 25 SCVs with double mules about to happen, ThorZaIN's actually not in too bad position, considering that was a double 11 barracks.
Yeah, he's now adding on 2 factories, interestingly enough, considering he is on 2 racks, and then double factory to go in after that. Could be a Blue Flame Hellion follow-up, possibly. What do you reckon?
It's interesting that he grabs the second factory this early, because that means he has to grab a 3rd refinery on the natural very shortly. So I feel like it's going to be for Stim, not for Stim, sorry, for tanks. But the second factory is interesting, because he's definitely not playing mech, of course, because he's getting Stim. So he has to build 2 tanks at a time from this, but he doesn't have the resources to support that. So unless he's building only Hellions from this first one, it doesn't make too much sense right now with the economy he has.
Yeah, we'll see what he decides to come up with here. His gas is getting to Blue Flame level. There it is, Blue Flame Hellion coming out from ThorZaIN. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, so he's going for like this mid-game kind of push. So what this develops in, so it's like a Stim, Blue Flame, Hellion, Marine push. Like do or die. If my opponent has roaches or bailings out, I'm pretty much dead. If not, I'm looking really, really good here. So yeah, that makes sense now, because he hasn't taken the 3rd refinery, and obviously can't afford to produce tanks off both of these if he throws down another tech lab. So he's just using the gas to get the Blue Flame and also the Stim. His gas will start to shoot up because he's not spending any gas anywhere, but that means he can always transition out of this into pure mech or into double more tank production or something along those lines. But this is a pretty good build from ThorZaIN.
It's always nice to see ThorZaIN break out something a bit interesting, and the question is, I suppose, will we get the active scouting? There is a Chosen Overlord over here, and it is actually on course to see both of those factories. The Marines are at the front for obvious reasons, because of course a bust could happen. ThorZaIN's actually now pushing out with those Marines, so almost certainly EGIdrA in the next minute or so is going to see what's going on.
Yeah, this is the push is pretty much ready. He's moving out with Marines first because Hellions are faster. Hellions will come and back this up shortly. And he also wants to get rid of the Ling on the Xel'Naga Tower first. Fortunately here for EGIdrA, he does go for a counter-attack, and we'll see the Hellions now wall with Blue Flame too.
Oh, he's got it.
He knows it's coming, and the follow-up is happening, by the way, in the background. The tank production is now starting, but here comes this push. Will EGIdrA have enough, though, because he only has Lings to defend this?
Yes, he does. So we got Spine Crawler up there, 2 more coming up to try and help out here as well. The Marines now pushing their way onto the 3rd, which is not exactly well defended under any circumstances. The 3rd may end up going down here. Plenty of damage being done. Link count is only at 11. There's nowhere near enough. ThorZaIN's actually even pre-split. but there are no banelings. But of course he doesn't know this, so he's got to be extra careful. Picks off an Overlord as well in the process, and the third is almost certainly going to very slowly die.
Yeah, he moves his hands down just in case EGIdrA tries to save the third and run down with Lings, but it does go down, and that's a significant win here for ThorZaIN, who is looking to pull back this series. EGIdrA now has thrown down the Spire, but in the background the armor is almost done now. He can start Thor production, is throwing down more barracks, and actually he's throwing down a lot more barracks. It's like 6 more barracks. So
yeah, he's not messing around.
ThorZaIN's technically going for such an aggressive push, which is going to hurt his economy so much because he's not taking a third command center. He doesn't plan on taking a third command center. It will be another 2-base push to follow this up.
Yeah, that may catch EGIdrA unawares. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like EGIdRA is going to get another 30-minute macro game to do whatever he wants, and that's a good response there by ThorZaIN. So, the question now is, can EGIdRA actually put together a composition which will beat what's going to be coming, which is a lot of Marines and tanks. There are still a few Blue Flame Hellions on the field as well. He has stopped Hellion production, however. It is double tank.
Yeah, the big problem here for EGIdRA is that he lost the third base, therefore he has X amount of limited gas. Yep. Therefore, if he wants to use Mutalisks, he has to use all the gas in Mutalisk right now, and will not have any for Banelings, which is where, of course, the Marines are going to really come and shine. And we do see for Mutalisk a little bit of a supply cap here for EGIdRA, so he can't actually even use all of his gas. But as soon as he does, ThorZaIN's going to push out with a follow-up, as he does now. And if he doesn't spot this coming, more Mutalisks will be in production, and that just means there won't be any Banelings. So this is going to be such a strong, incredible push.
Yeah, I'm still not a huge, not a huge fan of how blindly ThorZaIN's been playing these entire games, honestly. And just a complete lack of awareness. We even saw him kind of pre-splitting his Marines against Banelings that weren't even going to happen because the Baneling nest wasn't up. He is making assumptions, and you know what they say about assumptions, Apollo? They are the mother of all scrubs. Yes, they are. That happens a lot in every different way.
Oh no, man, there's no Baneling. Wait, there is Baneling speed. Okay, there is Baneling speed, but he still only has like 150 gas, building 2 more Mutalisks. This push is getting stronger and stronger as time goes on. I suppose he's just waiting for his +1 vehicle weapons to finish up, and then he'll go. But look how many Marines there are. Jesus, there's 50 Marines. EGIdRA has 4 Banelings. Good luck.
Those better be some damn good Banelings, and unfortunately I don't think that's going to do the job. The harassment's going to start to come in here by EGIdRA. There are missile turrets up already, though, and the Mutalisk count is nowhere near critical mass. Maybe he picks this armory off. In fact, most certainly he will, which is nice, don't get me wrong. But aside from that, what exactly is he going to do to the base of ThorZaIN at this stage? When ThorZaIN doesn't matter, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
This is so cute. Yeah.
This is so good. It's just like, yes, killed the armory. ThorZaIN's like, I don't care. Scan sees the few Banelings and banana grid right now with ThorZaIN.
Oh yes, and forward he goes. He's even just gonna, yeah, you know, he might lose a couple of Marines here and there. He's got plenty spare, and it also gives him advanced warning of these Banelings that are about to come in. Here it comes. The tanks are well deployed. The Marines go to the back, and a lot of the Banelings end up detonating before they hit the Marines, and that went fairly well for ThorZaIN, honestly. He kept so many Marines alive, which means those mutas are now pretty much worthless.
Yeah, mutas are never going to be good in this fighting scenario. More Banelings are trying to be morphed, but can easily even just get picked off without them getting in. And
yeah, that's the GG. And you know what? I'm not going to argue with EGIdRA's GG timing there. Absolutely not. ThorZaIN came off way better in that engagement than EGIdRA did. He had exactly what he needed to push through, and it was only a matter of time. So, nicely played there by ThorZaIN, mixing it up just a little bit once again. And EGIdRA now on the back foot for this series.
Yeah, very solid push to kill that third base of EGIdRA, and then the follow-up killing blow, knowing that EGIdRA, or not really, actually, I take that back. I was saying knowing that EGIdRA was going spy. I actually take that back.
He didn't know that. Yeah.
He didn't know that. He actually just went for it anyway, you know, no matter what happened, whether it be infestors or what. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what exactly EGIdRA was going to do, the same outcome was always going to happen. If EGIdRA decided to go for the infestors, he's only going to have a couple, because he's, you know, doesn't have any gas anymore. If he tries Banelings, he's only going to have a few. So, actually, brilliant play here by ThorZaIN. No matter what EGIdRA did, ThorZaIN was going to take a win.
Nicely calculated. And, well, this is a bit of a pickle, isn't it? So, we are currently 1 apiece from both of these guys. They both dropped a map. Now, the question is, can either of them actually go through from this point? And I'm thinking there's only maybe... I'm pretty sure ThorZaIN can't now. I'm fairly sure that just simply cannot happen, because he dropped that map to EGIdRA. But There is this weird scenario, I think, where EGIdrA can go through, and no doubt the guys in the LR thread will correct me if I'm wrong, because of course this is coming off the top of our heads as much as it is yours. If EGIdrA wins the next map, and then beats MVP 2-0, and MVP also drops his games against MC 2-0, EGIdrA goes through on head-to-head, I believe, in once, assuming Symbol comes in first in the group. That's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, I don't even know. I just know that it's not looking good for ThorZaIN or EGIdrA. I mean, they have to rely on specific map scores and X to beat X and Y to beat Y. You know, it doesn't. Yeah, it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. But there is that still chance.
Yeah, there is a very, very slight chance. And as a result, of course, EGIdrA will continue to fight. We'll see what ThorZaIN decides to do in the next map, because these two guys have just really torpedoed each other's chances here, so I can't imagine either of them is feeling particularly happy. But this series has proven to be fantastic, so I don't want to delay 3 too much longer. I want to see map 3, I want to see how it goes and where this series ends up. So we're going to take a very quick break and then come back with Game 3 of EGIdrA versus ThorZaIN. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final map between this fellow right here from Sweden and the team of mousesports. He is ThorZaIN, in the green trunks playing Terran to the southwest of GSL Daybreak, versus his opponent, Evil Genius's EGIdrA. He is in the red trunks, playing Zerg to the northeast.
Very excited to see how this last map here will play out. Of course, Daybreak being one of the best maps in a lot of map pools now.
Definitely.
I think it's pretty much included in almost every map pool, tournament map pool.
Unless you're bad.
Including the ladder.
Yes.
It's coming out very shortly. But here we do see ThorZaIN. EGIdRA's going to play exactly the same. The thing is, what is ThorZaIN going to do? Because Game 1, he tried a style which got shut down. Game 2, on the other hand, you know, that very aggressive push. What is lined up here for ThorZaIN in Game 3 is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it will be interesting, won't it? And just how different that last map could have really gone when you think about it, had EGIdRA not overdone it just a bit. And he really did. He got a little bit too skittish against that 2-Rax aggression. And as a result, it allowed ThorZaIN to get further ahead than he should have been able to. Yeah,
EGIdRA definitely defended that easily, if not too easy. Did overreact a little bit there.
That's a really odd place to put your barracks, ThorZaIN.
Yeah, it's a little bit of mind game. He's not going to back this up with anything. By looks, it just looks like he's going to be going for a 1 barracks expansion, but it's like, alright, if EGIdRA's going to drone scout me again and doesn't see anything, then maybe I can make him to overreact once again. But EGIdRA's not even drone scouting. Nope. He knows that 2-Rax is here on this map, not as viable, and if it is going to happen, it's going to be in the bottom right where the overlord is for EGIdRA. So he knows and has taken a calculated risk that this won't happen again.
Yeah, it's not really a big deal for ThorZaIN either, because ThorZaIN also knows that his opponent isn't going to attack him in the first few minutes of the game, so a wall-off is really kind of irrelevant. It's always weird when players know each other so well that we get into these kind of situations.
Yeah, exactly. ThorZaIN has taken gas though behind this, so we'll probably be going for that factory, but the thing is, the beauty with ThorZaIN's barracks too, if EGIdRA did decide to get an overlord, usually you can get it pretty close to where the barracks is right now, that first initial overload. So he'd probably lift up the barracks and check. And it's like, oh, okay, EGIdRA hasn't got an overload there. That's kind of weird. Never mind. Guess I'll have to go back. That is Diapolo's dialogue for that barracks. Diapolo, exactly what he was thinking.
Diapolo's back. I can just see that happening. Huh? You just do little bits of internal monologue for barracks, hatcheries, you name it. It's a series waiting to happen.
This drone's like, alright, what do we have here? Oh no, gotta go home. See?
Yep. And that's that. That's the
end of that drone.
Yep, so this is surprisingly uninteresting considering what ended up happening there. Just a single, well, actually everyone's out of gas now. No more gas for you. This is just specifically for speed, which will be coming in shortly.
Weird that the second barracks came down before the factory there, but we'll see what he's got planned for this. But have you? I played this game once. I was really bored, and it was a 25-30 minute game.
Right.
And all I did was follow a single drone, scouting drone, for the entire of the game. It was an exciting journey because he ended up scouting. He also went back. He mined. He then almost went down to the third base. He had to come back, and then eventually he turned into a spire.
That is an inspirational story, Apollo. It really is. That just proves that even the lowliest drone can become the grandest of things. Just attempt to aspire to greatness.
The thing is, though, I got lucky, and I only played it once. I can imagine somebody now like, that sounds hilarious, and does it and picks up a single drone that doesn't leave the mineral line for the entire game long. That would be a bad game to play.
That would be a fairly dull game, honestly. That's kind of Angry Birds level of dull. I don't think I would go for that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. We do have... Oh my god, okay. So this second barracks. Stim been produced early, but this is interesting. There's not a third barracks at all, so it looks like he's gonna... Well, actually, what's he doing with this factory? What are you doing?
He's leaving.
Okay.
He's building 2 Hellions. Yep.
What is he doing? ThorZaIN's build. He's throwing down the... Okay, the factory's like going next to Starport. No, it's not. Now it is. So this looks like he's going for pretty early medivacs here, which is interesting. He does throw down the reactor here. I'm not sure if that will stay on the starport. I mean, stay on the factory. It will probably go over to the starport shortly. But still, you know, ThorZaIN doesn't have enough gas to support double medivac production yet. So, really interesting build here by ThorZaIN.
Yeah, as in, what the hell is he doing? We try to think every time he does something along these lines. EGIdrA right now spreading creep, as you tend to, towards the third. Hasn't gone too far. There are only 2 Hellions out on the map, and indeed they've just been kicked right back as EGIdRA's got speed. So there's nothing that these Hellions can actually do. They check for an early third. There isn't one. Alright, okay, time to go back to base and then start this supply depot wall off here.
And yeah, it looks like he's just going to build 2 medivacs. Doesn't have enough gas to continue with this though, so if he does want to continue medivac production, then he's going to have to throw down another one. But then it comes a little bit too many medivacs per Marines, and EGIdrA has an overload which scouts the medivacs here, so he's going to be anticipating this push really early on, and that's a pretty good scout there by EGIdrA.
Yeah, nice surround there by EGIdrA as well. He nails down a single Hellion. The second one is taking damage, so the map control of ThorZaIN is basically slipping through his fingers. Marines do move to intercept and save that one Hellion, but yeah, he's going to be expecting something coming right now. Does he know? He doesn't know about the fact that the 2 gases down here have not been taken. So he may. There is a possibility he misreads this push, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see though. But I mean, he only has Lings, so that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
They do have upgrades coming, so as soon as they kick in, this is really easy to push back.
It's going to be a while.
This initial little push with Stim, even without combat shields, is still pretty strong. So EGIdrA has to be very, very careful on how he plays this. Like in the background, actually, we do see ThorZaIN, double engineering bay, 3rd command center, and a double gases now in his natural. So really playing for the late game this time around. Is going to start off trying to secure a bit of an advantage. And oh, look, there's that drone I was talking about. Tries to get a 3rd base. Maybe he survives. It was the one I used to see, but
he's gonna live. He's gonna live, man. Yeah,
he's gonna be a spire one day.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be the best thing in the world. EGIdrA looking for the surround here, and well, it's raw Lings, but there's a quick pickup by ThorZaIN and evacuating that. Takes down an Overlord, does a tiny bit of damage, drops behind that. He can even decide to go in again, maybe with a more preferential position here, fixing up those Marines as quickly as he can. But of course, the longer he waits, the upgrades come in for EGIdrA, and +1/+1 Lings should clean this up without a problem.
Yeah, this won't do anything now. He can just be annoying and keep picking the units up, but that's about it. ThorZaIN does need to work on extra barracks, though. He's only at a few, and definitely needs to ramp that up, considering he's about to take his 3rd base. Will be spread out incredibly thin, so he's adding on 1 more barracks, but definitely should be adding on like 3 more, to be honest. We do see the 3rd base come down here by ThorZaIN, and everything's actually looking good. Actually, he decides to throw down a planetary fortress, which is a little bit weird here. I mean, usually you'd like to see extra barracks and just having more units and then having the open command instead. So we'll see what he's going to do with the rest of his money here. Maybe add on a 2nd factory earlier and really rely on less but more powerful units.
Well, I just think he believes that EGIdrA is just going to go run by city on that 3rd base, and considering he's seen nothing but a ton of Lings with upgrades, he's probably right. And here comes that very run by, goes for the surround here. Will he have enough to rip his way through there? The Marine count is dead, and the tank's going to get run over as well, but it looks like the Planetary Fortress was a rather planetary fortuitous decision, and ThorZaIN has thrown that back without too much of a problem.
ThorZaIN's not playing so well in this game. I mean, we do have this little... I'll go back into that point in a few minutes, but ThorZaIN does run to the 3rd base of EGIdrA again, but it's going to get cleaned up by these 1/1 Marines, and yeah, it has to pick up again. But, you know, ThorZaIN's armory is very late here, which has slowed down the double upgrades, so it's almost, you know, pointless to go double engineering bay. And now the barracks have been added on pretty late here too. He's floating a lot of money, as you can see. They should have been added on earlier, so uncharacteristically, ThorZaIN doesn't make these kind of mistakes, but as you can see, he's almost at 1,000 minerals. You know, it's incredible. It should never, ever, ever be that high.
No, not as Terran, because you've got no way to dump those minerals, and he's not dumping down a ton of mules. He's only got 2 orbital commands. If he had 3, maybe I can understand that, but his macro is slipping somewhat. Don't want to slip macro against EGIdrA. EGIdRA's going to take full advantage of that. His mineral count being nice and low. He's got plenty of lava. He can spend. Double upgrades coming in once again for Lings, which are proving to be absolutely essential for shutting down ThorZaIN here. Combat Shield is now up, and upgrades coming in, but EGIdrA is going to take once again a fairly significant upgrade lead for quite some time, because as you mentioned, Armory was delayed.
Yeah, and everything's delayed by ThorZaIN because of that. His units are delayed because the production was late, his upgrades are delayed, so even his push in the end of time is going to be delayed. So small things make the biggest difference at this kind of level. And EGIdRA's gone hive again, before the 4th base is easing up. So again, an early hive from EGIdRA. If ThorZaIN doesn't scout it, he's going to walk into the same scenario he walked into in Game 1. But it looks like ThorZaIN's just loaded a Medivac up, which destination seems to be the main base here of EGIdRA, so he will pick up the scout eventually, but will it be in time?
That is the question, is it not? EGIdRA now preparing a group of Lings. If they go to the Planetary Fortress, they could probably kill quite a few workers here and there, but I think he's more interested about taking map control at this stage. Maybe trying to see any pushes coming in. There is this deployment here by ThorZaIN looking to secure a 4th base towards his opponent. This Medivac is going to land right on top of the 4th base. There are a lot of Lings somewhere. Yeah, they're actually at the natural at the moment, kind of out of position. Maybe he's able to clean this up. I think, he should be able to clean it up before it kills the base, though, no problem.
But there are Marines at the 4th base killing Extractor and drones too, so at least one of these drops was, you know, semi-successful. One get cleaned up, and actually, oh god, second one. So even though he got a few drone kills here, it definitely wasn't enough to warrant. You know, the cost of 2 Medivacs and 16 Marines, not so good there for ThorZaIN, and that's a lot of army value taken away from his actual main army in the center of the map, which again, you know, adds to the slowness of his overall push here. Double Ghost coming down, but the good thing is he picked up the Hive Scout, which is the most important thing here for ThorZaIN.
Yeah, and his reaction is the same as what we saw in the Tal'Darim games. Double Ghost and double Starport there to get the Viking production higher than it currently is, which is currently nothing whatsoever, so definitely needs to sort that out. ThorZaIN now looking to secure this area here. Command Center is going to take a little bit of damage. I don't think EGIdRA's going to bother to waste the Lings to try and shut that down. It will just get lifted one way or the other. Could go for an engagement here, but he is perhaps a little bit too worried about the tanks. And ThorZaIN's now 2-2 with Medivac support, so it's probably not worth sacrificing that many Lings to break that just yet. ThorZaIN's tanks are actually completely out of position here, and EGIdRA knows about them as well. I'm surprised he hasn't gone for them.
Well, he's actually going, well, he's doing it indirectly, going straight for the middle on the Planetary Fortress, which is just as good as killing all the tanks here, and gets a lot of Marine kills.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
That was nice.
So many Marines.
Very nice there by EGIdRA, and still hasn't done anything to these tanks just yet, but as you said, the Marine count is now much lower, which will force ThorZaIN to just try... well, if he goes for a push, he'll just be crushed. I mean, Lings will completely overwhelm this army, so that would be a terrible idea. But is he going to go for it anyway? It looks like he will try and get position on the 4th.
Yeah, he's going to get position on the 4th, and he may actually kill it, but the thing is, he's not going to escape with all those units. Like, no. It's going to be so difficult. Broodlords are morphing now. EGIdRA can easily sack this base and rebuild a new one somewhere else, and then just kill everything of ThorZaIN's army there.
Yeah, I'm not 100% keen on ThorZaIN's decision there, honestly. I'm really not. And EGIdRA now moving out. The +3/+3 are about to finish as well for Lings, so that in itself is pretty damn brutal. EGIdRA overwhelms the reinforcements coming in there and looks to try and cut off ThorZaIN, who is now rolling back. EGIdRA's got an opportunity here to do some serious damage.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't move down earlier. I mean, I guess he's playing very cautious that he didn't want to just lose the units, but I think he should, you know, as map packing commentators, he could have moved down a little bit earlier there to grab that.
I would agree with that. So ThorZaIN actually does get out of there without too much of a problem, but now he's got to face up against the might of a hell of a lot of Broodlords, and he doesn't have enough Vikings yet to really deal with this.
He does have Ghosts, though, again with Cloak, so if he manages to actually grab the EMPs down and then get rid of the Infestors and the Fungal Growth, Marines could actually kill everything here. You know, that's that's the thing that's going to kill you know, EGIdRA is Marines. That's the only thing, but he has to land the EMPs. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, he does, and EGIdrA now just going for it, straight across the map here. Viking count is there, it's not that high. Upgrades not so great for these Broodlords either. The Broodlings have got plenty extra damage, but the Broodlords themselves pretty much naked at the moment, which could prove to be a problem. And now EGIdrA looking to try and get position on this force, which is difficult enough in and of itself, because this is an awkward spot to attack.
Oh, if EGIdrA gets EMP'd there, he'll lose everything. So he actually returns back. There's not even any Corruptors there to support this either. So, with Corruptors, at least if he does get EMP'd, he still has some fighting back against the Vikings. But without Corruptors, there's nothing. So he does return back and just rebuilding and making sure this Death Ball is unbeatable. That's EGIdRA's goal. He is moving up to defend this north base against these few Marines here, and he has more than enough Lings to actually push that back. Ling's a little bit scared there, but I guess he was baiting for the Infestors more than anything.
Yeah, pretty much. And this is a really nice place for EGIdRA to engage as well, because he's got this chasm area here that he can exploit with the Broodlords, and that means the Marines become less useful. The Vikings will, of course, be absolutely fantastic here, and there's a lot coming in. Wow, 3 more starports being added on. I'm worried, man. We could see the same thing happening if ThorZaIN trades with EGIdRA, and ThorZaIN's trading well at the moment because those Corruptors just got absolutely destroyed, but ThorZaIN trades with EGIdRA and then we see a transition from EGIdRA into Ultras, then ThorZaIN could once again be in a serious amount of trouble.
I think ThorZaIN's going to add tech labs on these starports though. I have a feeling he's going to go Ravens.
Go back to
just,
Ravens?
You know, Ravens. Ravens are very, very good in mass amount late game with all their upgrades and their abilities, so I have a feeling that's going to be battle cruisers, not so much because of Corruptors, they're just so good at beating battle cruisers now. So we'll see how this does go down here. Starports do finish up, nothing on them yet, but that's because ThorZaIN is pretty occupied at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to go and try and break this base, and is going to take a full-on fight here. In they come. There are a lot of Corruptors this time around. A good Fungal to start that one off as well. EMPs go down. He doesn't hit all of the Infestors. More Fungals going down to try and smash his way through this Viking count. Viking count currently 14 to 7 Corruptors. Broodlord's taking a hell of a lot of fire here. Reinforcements coming in from the back, crushing the Corruptor count, and EGIdRA, well, he could sack all the Broodlords if he wants and then go for an Ultra transition. He's actually able to drive those tanks back and gets a good surround with Lings as well. Completely crushes that.
Yeah, not enough Vikings actually survive to kill all the Broodlords fast enough. They will kill them, but not fast enough. And he does manage to push this back. And, 180 supply versus 120. 6 Ultras coming in, once again with that chitinous plating coming. And they're going to be amazing.
They are, and more damage being done. EGIdRA actually just goes right for that command center and stops it from happening. ThorZaIN has walled in his CC with more CCs, which proves to be super effective. However, again, he has no answer to this Ultralist transition. None whatsoever. He's got nothing on the ground to stop this.
Yeah, and did EGIdRA actually see the starports there? He saw one, but that's actually fine because he doesn't know if that's just for the Vikings. He probably thinks it was for the Vikings, considering there was so many. And yeah, Vikings, and here comes the upgrades for the Ravens. So Vikings coming out, I suppose he'll go to Ravens shortly. They actually help out. The Seeker Missile is actually pretty good against what EGIdRA has, of course. If he can land the hits, though, that's the big thing. But that's a long time before they're ready, and EGIdRA's almost ready to actually take a fight himself.
Yeah, there's no Ravens on the field at this stage, and even if they were, that is not enough Raven energy to launch a Seeker Missile. He could drop down a couple of turrets, which would help at least delay the Ultras, because sadly they can't trample that. But right now he's just going to go for this big line breaker. The EMP does not land all that well, and a Fungal follows up to wipe out what's there, and there's the GG. Well played there by EGIdRA. And hey, that transition that we were talking about before the Ghost Snipe nerf? That's it in a nutshell, right there. That's the scary thing for Terrans at this stage. They overbuild Vikings because you can't kill Broodlords with Ghosts anymore, and then they lose to the Ultra transition. And EGIdRA executes it not once but twice very well.
Yeah, a really good play here by EGIdRA, who claims his first win here in Group B, but is it enough to get through? Probably not. I mean, he has to go against MVP next. He did drop a map here as well, so that does put EGIdRA at 1-2 in the group. But he does still have a 2-5 record in terms of maps. ThorZaIN, on the other hand, is pretty much out, man. We saw this happen with Todd in Group A. 0-3 means goodbye IronSquid tournament, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see him play again, in fact. He's going to play against MC for no other reason, I suppose, than pride. But it will affect the rest of the group. It will, without question. MC losing against ThorZaIN would definitely not be a good start for him at all. He's only played one game. Yes, he took 2-0 against EGIdRA, but EGIdRA is still in it, I think, with a very, very tiny chance. Group stages are, of course, very complex in the way that they're figured out, and my theory craft is perhaps not quite up to scratch. Because if you were to look at it on paper, then if MVP loses 2-0 versus EGIdrA, then they have an equal map score. Yeah, they would be 2-2, they would all be both be 4-5, and then EGIdrA wins on the basis of versus. You know, it goes down to head-to-head after map score. But then that also relies on the other top 2 positions, because it may be a case of MVP and EGIdrA gain joint third,
yeah.
which is
well, that's
also
just MVP loses to MC though as well. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
oh god, it was mind-boggling. The set of circumstances that would have to come together to allow that to happen are fair. The probability is fairly remote. It's not impossible, but it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this group turns out. And honestly, if MC wins, I'm pretty sure if MC wins against ThorZaIN right now, then EGIdRA's not really got much of a chance of going through at all. So we shall see. Once again, it's still all to play for at the top 3, however. Only 2 go through out of 5. So it's very important to watch the rest of these matches to determine who is going to be going through from Group B to end up eventually facing up against Puma and, of course, Marine King Prime from Group A.
Yeah, MC, you know, like we said, has to win. For ThorZaIN, what ThorZaIN's fighting for now is to actually help out EGIdrA a little bit. And the thing is, though, the MC has to take a game here. ThorZaIN's going to try to prevent that as much as possible. So, still going to be a nail-biting Terran versus Protoss. It always is, especially when these 2 players are involved. You know, fantastic individuals.
It's going to be a good one as well. There's no question about that, and it's all coming your way right after this break. Don't go anywhere.